Let's go. The main event.
Again, from the album Sunstorm from producer Zoe. The song is titled Greater Than the Sun, also featuring some vocals from Fonte Coleman, better known as one half of the hip-hop duo Little Brother, and also one of the main vocal contributors to an ensemble known as the Foreign Exchange. Lots of great sounds put together with that. You know, that's that Detroit or Motown connection to the down south, because Fonte is from North Carolina, and here in Philadelphia we have a great appreciation for soulful music, so hopefully that radiated out to everyone in our listening audience as we are here in one of the climates during the summer months that most of us don't appreciate too much. It's soupy outside, but this is not supposed to last all day, ladies and gentlemen, so we hope that was the prompt for the sun to break through the clouds, because hopefully by around 3 p.m. today it's supposed to clear up a little bit. So if you have some other outdoor plans happening for later on in the evening, then we hope that the sun shall shine upon you. This is Stephanie Renee welcoming you to today's Summer of Freedom broadcast. We're here at the Coleman Regional Library at Green and Shelton, and Mike Dennis is in the house. Good afternoon.
He's doing AccuWeather now?
I have to. That's part of this job, man.
It's crazy. Like, what did they do before the weatherman? Did they, just people, looked
Farmer's
out the window?
Almanac.
They just looked out the window?
Farmer's Almanac.
To predict what was going to happen?
Yes. And planting crops and harvesting crops and all that good stuff.
It's like
fishing.
My grandfather, he had the Farmer's Almanac, and
it has moon tables. It has temperature trends. It's a very good resource.
I just wish we controlled things back then, because then my grandfather, he'd just he'd be on TV or whatever the equivalent would be. It's like I think my knee's about to hurt. It's gonna rain.
It's got a little soreness in the joint, so it's gonna rain today.
Yeah, he's just as accurate as the weather people. So
I was gonna say, I think some of the mainstream media sources wouldn't be happy to hear you say that, because they invest a lot of money in this technology.
Look, they got. I told you about the time they had me out there buying all that duct tape and bottles of water.
Y2K.
And then ShopRite, Fox Street ShopRite. Uh-huh. I'm in line for an hour to get some bread and milk and not one lick of snow.
Well, I mean, stuff happens.
But I trust you. I trust that at 3 o'clock.
I'm just saying that is what is said. It's not supposed to be like this all day long.
I'm just saying you have prophecy.
That kind of thing.
I feel that in your spirit.
But we want to say hi to Brother Norman Bayard, who's in the house. Another one of our Germantown area residents. He's one of my former neighbors. He helped me out when I got lost trying to find out where I was going to vote.
No,
when I lived around these parts.
Well, we're only here till noon, right? But
yes.
Ursula's.
I'll say we got family around the table today. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yeah, and I'm not sure if we have anybody playing Scrabble, but we do have the Scrabble boards here. So if anybody wants to come down, I said we were going to try and find some ways to develop sort of like a speed approach, like you have a speed chess.
Okay.
We're going to try and figure out a way to do speed Scrabble. To help people out, because these broadcasts aren't but so long. And so if people don't come in till the latter part of it, they should still be able to sit down and play a little something.
Okay.
So, we might be real creative.
Yeah, it's like a little rainy day fun here at WURD at the Coleman Library.
Exactly.
At Green and Shelton, and with... and lots of cool people here. Yeah. Oh, but Kevin Hart Day yesterday.
Yes. So you were out. You were out in that iffy weather too.
Well, yeah. Well, it was weird though, because it was like okay, hurry up, because there had 50 people that were going to talk.
Yes.
Before
everybody and their mama wanted to be on that stage and represent for Philadelphia elected officials and what have you.
One noticeable absence, but I won't even mention. But it was a little shade thrown by Kenny there. I don't know why he couldn't be there, but everybody was. But it was David O's day.
Yes.
He put that together. He made it happen, and then it was great to see Willis Nomo. Actually, I'm looking at Ursula. He did a commission piece for Ursula, and just amazing, beautiful piece of artwork right on the side of Max's Cheesesteaks.
Yes.
On the corner of
with Kevin Hart's bright smiling face.
His brother came out, looked just like an older version, like a less rich version of Kevin Hart. Just as short.
Shade. Ladies and gentlemen, with shade.
It's on the radio. How would I describe? I'm drawing a picture. What? I'm painting a picture for you. Imagine if Kevin Hart never made any money, and just became like a dad or whatever.
He's trying to clean it up, ladies and gentlemen, and it still sounds shady. I'm just saying. So
look,
we can talk.
He's
this is the conversation that we generally have about Chris Rock. There's the Pookie era. Chris Rock, and there is the I have matured, I have made some money, I have fixed my teeth, and worked out some other things.
Chris has,
and he looks very different now.
Chris has 4 brothers not in show business, and you can see like they don't there's no need to sit and work out. Your check's not affected if you gain weight. So I'm sure Kevin's brother doesn't mind me saying it. He looks just like him. I'm sure. His life is good.
Is he any taller?
Not at all, no.
Oh, because they're both little teeny people like that?
Little tiny people, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm sure his cell phone bill is paid. I'm sure his cable never goes off. So, I'm not shade. Come on. It was a happy day.
Yeah, it was.
And everybody, and he was in the neighborhood, and everybody came to celebrate, and it was just beautiful. But the thing about it was, the rain was going to threaten. Yeah. But as soon as it just held off, and then as soon as Kevin came out and spoke, he said, "Please don't draw on my mural." I guess you guys were broadcasting too, but he said, it's nice now. Don't mess it up. Give it at least 2 weeks. But there was no rain. The rain went away.
He's got a lot of love in the hood.
I didn't even realize how much the generosity in his laughter has helped people, and then and people really identify with him in a way like true fandom. Just really connect with him in a way similar to Jay-Z.
Well, and that's a perfect segue, right? Because in preparation for today's show, Mike and I were just talking about some of the big trends that are going on in pop culture, and I had not made this particular connection, and so I promised folks that Mike and I were going to try and air it out for a little bit here on the program, which is, if you have not yet heard Jay-Z's new release, 444, there's a song called The Story of OJ, where the refrain, and I mean, we could play it because it's technically not profanity, but it's a word that makes people very, very uncomfortable. So some of the way that Jay-Z has set up the hook of this particular song basically says, doesn't make a difference what money you have or that you are still the N-word. And paralleling that to Raoul Peck's documentary title, I'm Not Your Negro. So share your theory with our listening audience.
It's just an observation. I mean, well, first off, the first question is how, if this represents a growth and change in Jay-Z, then yes, God bless him, and let's continue on. Let's move forward. Let's use the platform and power that Jay-Z has to sort of affect change. Right. Because that's what art is. And the album is clearly a work of art, and it's one of his best pieces. I don't really feel like he's made too many bad albums, Now the songs that are getting the most attention, 444 and Story of OJ, are probably, they're good records, but they're not the best records on the album. So I would encourage people, when they have the opportunity, to listen to the whole piece, right? And listen. Not only listen to it, don't put it in. Don't just NWA it, where you just have Straight Outta Compton. Like the problem with NWA movie was, they changed the world. Yeah, no, KRS-One was there too. Yeah, that's right. Queen Latifah was there too. Right. It wasn't just F the police. It was a whole bunch of people talking about the injustices that were happening in '92. Indeed. So put it in perspective. Even if you just want to keep it within the Carter family, throw some Solange. That's right. Listen to Solange, listen to Beyonce, listen to Lemonade, and then you see the whole picture. But as far as Story of OJ goes, I'm on the fence. I mean, if you're trying to reach people where they are, then yes, take the king of America, Black America, and allow him to say, like, look, it doesn't matter how rich you get, you're still going to be treated a certain way in the society. Yeah. My main issue is with the video, because if you turn the sound off, you never heard the record. There's a lot of images in there that are very problematic. Well, see, okay. So this is why I said we get a chance to kind of hash it out. I don't know. I am one of those people that is not beset by those images. Okay. I find them at some level maybe a little angering, but I'm always fascinated at how people exaggerate our features and how people exaggerate our movement and everything to get it sort of inside the psyche of white supremacy and how it's portrayed in society. So the video for Story of OJ didn't
bother me. It was more of a look at this, the whole concept of blackface, the whole concept of a step and fetch it character, and how these things are portrayed are things that our grandparents in particular lived through. Like, this was in their face every single day as a representation of who they were. And it's so ridiculous to me that I feel like we need to see it every now and then to remind us of what they were battling just to go to work, just to be present in these spaces, and that we can't necessarily ignore it or run from it. And I think that Jay-Z, there was a consciousness to using that imagery in the video for that song in order to bring us back into that space, that it doesn't make a difference how successful you are, that there's going to be a segment of the population that will always see you just like these stereotypical images.
Okay, well, three things there. I would say, well, first off, if Jay-Z's entire motive and intention in putting those images out and telling that story the way he does is to influence things, then he should be donating every platinum download for that record to some sort of cause, because otherwise he's just cashing in on a hashtag.
I got you.
Until he actually manifests some actual change or uses all this wealth that he's trying to encourage all the other drug dealers that got caught to go and do something, then I'm not with you on that.
I hear you.
Because it's a white guy that made that video, and I can't equate that to what Basquiat does. He may in his mind think that he's collaborating with Mark Romanek the way that Andy Warhol and Basquiat did. But what he's allowing Mark Romanek in making that image to represent that song is to negate everything that Jay-Z is saying lyrically and verbally in the music.
So if it had been a black creative director, then you'd be more accepting of it?
No, I'm saying it's his artistic license, but at the same time, a lot of blood was spilled to get those images off TV, to erase that idea, that mindset that it's acceptable for people to even think of us as monkeys, right? So for him to use his power and recognition to put that out without any form of context and leave it up to a random viewer to understand what that is, yes, that piece belongs in a museum, but if you just put that out there, that's like leaving trash on the curb. Well, what is this? Well, if it's appropriation, but it's not the same. It's not on the same level as the song. The song is brilliant. Yes, sample Nina Simone. Yes, flip the words, make double meanings. That's cool, but the visual is just completely without. If you don't have the proper context in terms of your consciousness to understand what he is appropriating and trying to reinvent for you, then you're just basically giving people license to imagine themselves not only, I mean, if you're talking about what James Baldwin, I'm not your Negro, you're saying, well, you're still a Negro regardless, and now everybody in the world who likes Jay-Z has the right to reappropriate that J-Bo image and splash it out there.
But I think so this comes back to what Dr. Montero and I kind of opened the program talking about. This idea of literacy is not just about reading for the sake of reading. It's about reading and giving your life, giving your purpose, giving what you're seeing and ingesting context for how it has been used in the past, or for how we're being led by these people that are these huge figures for us in popular culture.
It's art. It's open to, but there are people that are less talented than Jay-Z and Mark Romanek that now may feel they have license the same way somebody might feel because the president said this, now I got the right to say this at the Walmart.
Oh, you get no argument from me about that.
So I'm just saying, like if you're deliberate with it, then you continue. You take that money that you made and you do something with it. You just don't buy another whatever.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think also, though, that so part of the conversation that has been had around the video goes to visual artists like Kara Walker, and how she also takes a lot of that imagery and serves it back up. And that there were people who literally were walking into some of her installations screaming, like they were so angry at the fact that this work was being lauded on some level. level, and it's just because of the stark negativity, as they perceive it, of the imagery itself, not necessarily the context, especially the fact that sugar piece was built out of sugar because of our history of enslavement and all the things that are tied into it. You know, there's a lot for people to process. I'm saying that we're asking people to be better students,
but it's contextualized. You, in order to experience that piece firsthand, you had to travel to Brooklyn. You had to physically be in the space of the Domino Sugar Factory.
Right.
There are probably 50,000 signs telling you what you're about to experience, and it's within a context. You know, Jay-Z, they put it on Tidal. You know, how many people have that in the first place, right? So if you wanted to hear it the first day, you had to give them at least your email address, right?
I was going to say, I'm a Sprint customer, so
they're getting money.
All I had to do was download that.
So they got your info, but they're out to get info.
Yes.
Right? And then, so you've already paid up front, but then it's just, okay, all right, so now we'll sell. And I signed up too because I got Sprint, right? So, okay, so the contextualization is...
I'm just saying, you know, true confessions
here. Here's where we sampled it, and then there's this little BS interview with all these black men about how oppressed they are, Chris Rock and Trevor Noah and all this
I didn't even see that.
It's like a little bonus feature, but they got Neil Brennan of all people to direct it, which irritates me because it's like anybody could have made that. You could have made that piece. You know, why Neil Brennan?
And now Kayla's sitting up here looking like, what?
I'm serious. He just got on Skype and, hey, tell me what it's like to be rich and black. It's like anybody could have put that together. Why Neil Brennan?
So we're gonna plot. Yeah, I know. I was like,
and then we're not even filming live.
You gotta see Mike Dennis when his nostrils are flared.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just
really a phenomenon.
Don't give this a pass. Like if he goes and spends some money, then that's fine.
No, I'm not giving it a pass by any stretch of the imagination, because one of the best critiques I feel has come out of this is the article that's titled 443.
I do read that.
About the women that have suffered to lead up to this moment of great enlightenment by Jay-Z. But we gotta pause and pay some bills, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we will continue. We're going to tie this further into some of what Dr. Montero is presenting at the conference. We've got other students who are going to share dramatic readings, and we're going to talk about this power of imagery, because our students that read to you that excerpt from the interview previously in the program are going to talk about their lives as documentary filmmakers.
Don't let Jay-Z become the Black Donald Trump and be like, I am your voice.
Boo, hiss, boo. You know
voice.
You would never ever hear that come from me.
I'm still you. No, get out of here, Jay-Z. Get out.
That and more, ladies and gentlemen, when we return with this week's edition of Reelblack Radio, part of our Summer of Freedom live broadcast at the Coleman Regional Library at Green and Shelton. Stay tuned. That's a little taste of the Brothers Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, with a piece called Stomp. And that's what many of us feel when we get caught up in these situations where we feel that there are people who, you know, may talk a good game when it comes to activism, when it comes to consciousness in our society. But whether people are consistent, whether they are in it for the long haul in their commitment to activism, in their commitment to empowerment, is also a conversation that will be nurtured as a part of this weekend's conference on James Baldwin. What have we learned from his life and legacy, from the writings he has left behind, from the videotape of his debates, of his television appearances where he is challenging the establishment, where he is standing firmly in his own identity, and how that translates into what we can gather in these contemporary times and carry even further forward. This is Stephanie Renee welcoming you back to today's Mojo, to our Reelblack Radio segment. Mike Dennis is fired up and ready to go. And
no, I am your leader. Wait, what's the frequency? What's the frequency? You have to hit the frequency. Now, I am your leader. Okay, all right, now you can start. I'm just playing.
Okay. Did anybody get that? Is it me?
You need keywords.
Okay.
You got to hit those buzzwords. See, you're not tuned in. That's why we got 45. Because you didn't hit the buzzwords. You're too clear.
Take no responsibility
for 45. Your voice is too clear.
Zero, zilch, none. You will not get me to own that at all.
I'm just saying.
And now he's over in Germany about to get those people even further fired up, and they're getting water hoses. How's that for a connection?
Okay.
I'm just saying. There are protests happening about the foolishness that is going on, not just here in America, but all around our world. And there are people who are standing up and saying, this is foolishness. Do you see it? It's foolishness. And we need to be able to do something about that.
But I bet they got Coca-Cola in their refrigerator, so it doesn't really matter.
As someone who drinks all kinds of prepackaged stuff, are you really going to be pointing fingers about people that participate in some level of consumerism?
No, I'm just saying. Like if you want to talk about it, then be about it. Go drink some water. But they probably own the water too. Anyway.
Yes, I was going to say, who do you think bottles Deer Park? I mean, this whole idea or distributes it.
So I guess the bottom line, we're all stuck on this spaceship called Earth, and it's just
unless you are moving off the grid and going to go kill all of your own meat.
Kayla, we need you to rescue us.
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism, okay? But we are able to take responsibility of our actions. We are able to think about where we put our, where we get our knowledge from.
Yes.
A big part of capitalism is mass media that is constantly portraying us as thugs, is constantly portraying us as dangerous. And we're saying we don't believe them about police brutality, but as soon as they tell us something about a foreign country, we automatically believe them. It's something about that where we need to be consistent in our analysis of the system that we're under. And that's something that we do at Saturday Free School. Elias is going to tell, if you don't mind.
No. This is our segue.
Elias is going to talk a little bit about what we do at Saturday Free School, because Mike, right before we got off of break, was talking about how people, they can be very performative in their activism. They can be very performative in their quote-unquote wokeness, where wokeness sometimes you don't have to be, anti-misogyny, anti-homophobia, anti-transphobia, and you can still be considered woke.
Right.
So we want to have a multidimensional, not complicated, but sophisticated analysis of our conditions. And Elias is going to talk about how we achieve that at Saturday Free School.
Excellent. Elias, tell us about media literacy as it is practiced in Saturday Free School.
So the great thing about Saturday Free School, I feel, is that it teaches you and it teaches me about accountability, and it teaches you what it really means to be a community. And that means with media, who are you accountable to? And the people that we're accountable to on the media is the Saturday Free School. Me and Kayla, as the leaders of the Free School media team, have a commitment and an obligation to present what we're doing in there accurately, sophisticatedly, and with complete and utter truth and the complexities of the realities that we live in. And I think with this idea of having to be pure and having to be politically correct all the time, and this problematic, height that we're in, where everything is problematic, everything that we say is a problem. I think what Saturday Free School does, it helps us work through those things. You're denying someone's humanity. Let's talk about how that's bad. Let's give you the history. Let's give you experiences. Let's explore the different complexities of that thought process and things like that.
Okay, so the question is, I think truth. There is a truth, but then it's also objective, and then there's perspective. So what's the perspective on your media?
The thing sorry?
What's the perspective on the media that you're creating?
The perspective of the media we're creating is we're doing it as a response to the lack of representation we have of what's going on in the movement, but also the realities that we're facing in the movement. The truth, I think, with perspective, and the truth is what we collectively discover what is the truth. I think when you get people together and we're all talking about this is that, we all come to truth and we all accept and realize that. I don't know if that answers that.
Well, one of the things I think that's incredibly important is because as Dr. Montero and I talked about on Wednesday, part of the readings that are going to be shared during the Baldwin Conference is this interview between Audre Lorde and James Baldwin, right? And so there are plenty of opportunities for us to imprint what we think that conversation would have entailed, given that we're talking about a queer woman and a queer man in that time period, kind of confronting one another about what those realities were for themselves. And even within the context of their conversation, there was a constant challenge to understand where patriarchy, where racism, and this idea of performative roles, of what gender roles mean even within the queer community. And I think a lot of people who aren't living that reality wouldn't have expected that conversation to go the way it did. Tell us a little bit about your analysis of this, because that speaks directly to what you were talking about, Kayla.
Well, I believe it's that we can't really analyze Baldwin without contextualizing it and understanding him as a writer, and also understand where he came from. I always say when people ask me where to start with Baldwin, is to start with The Fire Next Time, because you understand that people try to just pigeonhole Baldwin as a gay writer, which that was a part of him, but that was what it is, a part of him, not a sum total of what he was. And we believe, and this is the practice of the Saturday Free School in general, and this is what you're going to see on when we talk about Audre Lorde's interview. We don't know what's going to happen at this conversation, because it's just that, a conversation. What we do every Saturday is the same thing that we're going to be doing this weekend, is that we believe that you can find truth if you work as a group with consistent, just working together to find a solution about what is up with your condition, or how the world affects you in terms of just your safety in this country, just your ability to express yourself in this country. But you can't arrive at that solution on your own. We believe in this collective idea that we can struggle toward the answer together, because all of us have different perspectives. At Saturday Free School, we have people like me who are recent college graduates. We have a couple of high schoolers. We have, PhD people who have their PhDs and their masters, Dr. Montero. But we also have people who are from the neighborhood. They either did not graduate high school, or they don't currently have a home or have a job, but their perspectives matter as well. And it takes the sum total of what we're coming up with together, and that's how I think we're going to be able to come out with an analysis about Audre Lorde's conversation with James Baldwin. So I can't really even give that to you right now, because that's something that I believe we need to discuss together.
But one of the things that I think is great about this model is that when we talk about, and we've had extensive conversation on our airwaves about Black Lives Matter, for instance. And a lot of the things that people seem to struggle with is the idea of decentralized leadership, that there's not one figurehead, there's not one elder, for instance, that's necessarily pulling the cart forward and asking people to push and get on board and be a part of the movement. And the idea of what you all are presenting with Saturday Free School as another decentralized way of having a community contribute to truth and to an answer will help a lot of people understand Black Lives Matter and other similar movements better, I think.
Yeah, I think what the Black Lives Matter and the current movements fail to do is empower each individual with to be able to speak on their own truth and analyze and be able to live their life and understand it from their perspective, using the tools that we all find together. So it's not my truth speaks to all gay men or speaks to all Black men or all Latino men or Afro-Latino men, but it speaks to my experience utilizing what we've all learned, using the history of Palestine, using the history of Black America, and combining those to see, well, how do I hold myself accountable to the people who I sit around and talk and communicate and love and see every single Saturday? How can I use what they said and take their experience into consideration and then be able to give it to somebody else so they can have a tool as well?
Indeed. So what I want you to do, we got to take our final break, but let people know if they're completely unfamiliar with Saturday Free School, let them know where you're gathering, when you're gathering. Is there a donation that's asked for? How do they support this idea?
So Saturday Free School meets from 10 to 2 every Saturday at the Church of the Advocate at 18th and Diamond. And, you know, you don't have to sign up. You could just come in whenever you need to. We like to have you be early, but I'm not always early, so I can't really
I was going to say, for
Dr.
people of color, that tends to be an issue.
It's a little bit of a challenge.
We should probably tell them 9:30 so we know they'll be there by 10.
See,
we come at 10.
Yeah, I even got it wrong. But you know, there's always like, you know, a couple fruits and veggies and stuff. You sign up. You can contact us at freeschoolmedia@gmail.com. And then donations, we just pass around an envelope and then put in a couple dollars because there are people at the church who open the church for us and help care for the space, and we just ask for the space to be clean. We do ask for donations for, like, at the Baldwin conference there's going to be a lunch, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a donation that needs to be made to you know, just help fund the people that cooked it.
But the main thing is Saturday mornings.
Yeah, Saturday morning, 9:30.
9:30,
at the
which
Church
means
of the
10 o'clock
Advocate.
Colored People Time.
And,
Yes.
Coming
actually,
in,
9 a.m. Colored People Time.
You know what?
No,
Stop.
9:30,
We're not that
9:30.
late.
No, if you say 9
but
o'clock.
CPT, you gotta say it.
You say 9 a.m.
Yes,
Colored
9:30
People
CPT,
9
10 a.m.
regular
standard.
people time.
Yeah, and the ending is very thing, but just
Church of
bringing yourself, bringing an open mind, and bringing respect for people and humanity is just all that.
Without question.
And
Yes.
it's not just an academic space. Like, if there's language there that you don't understand, and I've done it multiple times, like when Doc, you know, talks about something, I'm like, I don't know what that means. You can ask for that to be broken down. Like, it's accessible for people, and that's what we strive to have.
Indeed. Well, so you hear, ladies and gentlemen, here in Philadelphia, a place for collective learning between elders and youth and conversations about things that matter to our community. So you're asked to come out and support this, and it's right in our community, right at Church of the Advocate. We've got to take our final commercial break of today's program, and then we're going to invite in our friends at the library. We're going to invite in yet another student that's going to be featured as a part of the Baldwin Conference, and we've got tickets to give away to the folks who are here with us at our Summer of Freedom live broadcast at the Coleman Regional Library at Greene and Shelton. Back for the conclusion of today's program in just a moment. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Kenny Dope remix of Kenny Bobian's I Amor. And he says in that chorus, know that I am love. Yet another phrase that we are familiar with within the context of spirituals or gospel music, or the idea of us identifying faith as one of those motivators into a space where we are receptive to an idea about heeding a higher calling, following our purpose, speaking truth into power in our society. And that will be the context through which Baldwin and his work are analyzed as a part of the wonderful conference that will be taking place at the Church of the Advocate this evening through Sunday evening. And we should get those times again so we can make sure that people in our listening audience know exactly when to show up and when to participate in the wonderful conversations that will be taking place as a part of this conference. You've been hearing all throughout the program today from some of the young people that are going to be contributing to that conference, and our creative minds like Ursula Rucker, who will be part of the culminating concert that will, kind of crystallize a lot of this information. And this is Stephanie Renee. You're listening to our Summer of Freedom broadcast here at the Coleman Regional Library at Greene and Shelton. We're almost out of time, but we wanted to take some time to also hear from yet another one of Dr. Montero's students who joins us today. And sometimes that conversation, that push to be engaged and involved, can be sparked by a quote. And Divya has some of the quotes from Baldwin that have inspired her, and she'll tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. So I just wanted to share a couple of quotes that I've just pulled from a variety of texts that Baldwin wrote so much. He wrote plays, he wrote novels, he wrote essays, and he's just such a prolific writer. And what I love about him, and what these sections that I pull exemplifies, what a keen sense he has of what it means to be alive, and how we should live with one another and love one another, and to live in such a way where we're morally responsible and politically responsible to one another. And so I was just really thinking about what is the role of the artist, and Ursula Rucker touched on this earlier in her talk. And Baldwin says the artist is possessed by a vision for a new Jerusalem. He says the vision for a kingdom of heaven on earth. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. And he says it is only the artist, as opposed to the priest, psychoanalyst, or someone else, who is able to show the people the reality of their existence, the way forward into this new Jerusalem. And he says that it is precisely at the moment when one receives an education that one realizes that one is at war with society. But he also says the artist is at war with his society. Mm-hmm. And because he's the only one that can show us what it means to be alive. And if one is young, gifted, and black in this country, we learn very quickly that this is not a life-bringing country. It thrives on the destruction of black communities, the death of black people. And the artist, Baldwin says, by contrast, shows us the reality, but shows us what it means to be alive and human in spite of white supremacy, in spite of capitalism. And he says, and this war is very strange. It's a very strange war. When you begin to realize that the reason why the artist is possessed by a vision for a new Jerusalem is not at all because he is a dreamer, not at all because he is unrealistic. His vision is based on what he has seen of human beings, what he sees of them, and what he sees of another. Clues that people can be better than they are. This is all that any artist has ever been trying to say.
I was going to say all of the creatives around the table sat up a little bit as we heard that, because we feel that very deeply. And, in this moment in time where we can get Mike's nostrils flaring, talking about Jay-Z, and not necessarily providing context or, living up to sort of the demands of the music that he's releasing into the world, there is a level of connectedness that those quotes that you just provided us from Baldwin give us about how necessary it is to speak life into the art. And to make people recognize their own lives. Because I think, and Ursula will probably agree with me that when you do teaching within the context of your creativity, there's often this reticence from people who are just discovering their voice, saying, I'm not good enough. Like they're trying to get to some point where they think their voice is worthy or acceptable. And one of the things that Dr. Montero talked about on Wednesday is the idea that Baldwin didn't have a PhD behind his name. Nope. He brought so much knowledge, but he was not certified in the classic way that some people think they should be, right, in order to speak on these subjects or to have a meaningful voice in this. Right. And so you've given us some beautiful context for how those of us in the community who may not have any letters behind our names are still welcome into the conversation, are still welcome to contribute and learn and be a part of this collective celebration, taking Baldwin back out into our communities and discussing him even further. That's a very necessary thing. So hang tight, Divya. We also want to bring on Robin Menker, who is the manager here at the Coleman Library, and you help to construct these opportunities for folks to come into this neighborhood branch of the library to learn and grow, check things out, or hang out here and get some learning done. Tell us about some of the things that you have planned for the summer.
That's correct, Stephanie. I'd like to thank WURD for visiting us here at Coleman Regional Library. It's really exciting, and our community really enjoys it. I'd like to, if I may, just give a shout out to the staff here, yes, because it's really all about the staff. They are on the front line. They are the experts. They're trained. They're knowledgeable, and they're just ready to serve whoever walks through that door with whatever information needs you have. We have what you need here to keep you going, to school. I just spoke with one of your folks on today who said that she lived at the library. when she was in school, and she got through and accomplished her goals, and that's what we're here for. Yeah. And during the summer, we're especially here for our children and teens, and we have a lot of programs that we're offering this summer. I mean, there's so many to mention them all, but they're very innovative. We want to engage our children. Learning never stops. Just because you're out of school, just because you have a lot of time on your hands, it goes on all through the summer. So we have innovative program for children, for teens, and adults, and we ask you to visit us, get our flyers, go to www.freelibrary.org, check out our webpage. Everything that we offer is there, and keep us in mind during the summer.
Indeed. Well, we thank you. I was like, you've been hanging out. You've been looking like you're having a good time. Have you been having a good time with us?
The conversation has been really great. I love the Baldwin conversation. I love, the swimming conversation. It's all been great. I mean, you always learn something, and that's what it's about. It's about learning, continuing to learn, continuing to be engaged in our community so that we can move forward together.
Indeed. So we appreciate the role that the library plays in this community, because as a regional library, you all have stacks. Yes. And there's never been a time that we've been broadcasting here where you have not had a line outside of the door as you're waiting to unlock the doors to open the library each morning, where people are trying to come in and be engaged with the offerings you have here. And that says a lot for the role that you play.
Oh, thank you. We really appreciate it. And we work hard to reach that goal. And when folks know that you're coming, I mean, we put it on our Facebook page. We let them know because, they get excited and they want to be a part of it.
Thank you so much for that.
You.
So Divya, we want to come back to you before we officially sign off. Talk a little bit about how you got interested in Baldwin overall. The idea, because we are talking about a community conversation, right? And people come from different backgrounds. They have different points of entry to coming into a knowledge of Baldwin and a love for Baldwin's work. So what was that for you?
Well, it was the Saturday Free School, and the context it came up in, and Baldwin just really. Baldwin just really pushed me to think about how I was seeing reality, right? And I think that's what, as the reason why I read the artist piece from him was because that's really what he's about. He wants to show people the actual conditions of reality, and that's kind of where I started. I had come in with all of these academic ideas of what reality meant, right? Mm-hmm. Sociology, we have anthropology, we have the sciences, and what we see in Baldwin, and what the conference and the celebration that we're having in his honor this weekend will, I think, show is that Baldwin rejects these ways of looking at humanity, especially looking at Black people, that these white paradigms of seeing, and wanted to start at the root of the Black life world and 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 life world, and go outward from there, right? And saying this is and so what we see in his writing is this constant moving through the along the color line, really seeing what this reality is about and not denying that this is in fact real. Yeah. And most of the time when you're in I teach at Temple, I'm a graduate student at Penn, and most of the time it's just denying, it's denying that these realities exist. And that's the first ideological struggle that we have to really
right. that other people will accept that what you are telling them is real for you is indeed real.
Yes.
And I know we're almost out of time, but Mike, I just want to bring this back to film, right? Because part of what we know that will be screened within the context of the conference are these documentaries about Baldwin's life. So we're going to get a chance to hear some of that same voice that Divya shared with us in those quotes speak his own reality on these films that Dr. Montero is going to screen, and you at Reelblack presented not just I'm Your Negro. There was a screening that you invited your membership to.
We also showed what's going to show this weekend at the church is the William F. Buckley Baldwin speech. Just brilliant. I think just brilliant on so many historical levels. And that got an emotional reaction when we shared it. Yeah. And of course, if you haven't seen I'm Not Your Negro, it's great to see it with a lot of people.
Oscar-nominated documentary.
Yeah, A. Bear Peck, a local producer, nominated for that film. Yeah. So I would strongly recommend it. I mean, just get your weight up. It's going to be tough. So, with that in mind, shout out to Ava DuVernay. Yes. Who just announced that she's going to be doing a 5-part series on Netflix on the Central Park 5. Yes. Right. So, I'm just really interested to see who she casts as Cheeto. Not the Hispanic guy who witnessed the thing, but Cheeto. Yeah. Anyway.
45, whatever you all want
45. That's going to be very interesting. And then... also, I know we're busy this weekend, but they've extended for a third week the Coltrane documentary down at the Ritz. Nice. So if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, go see it again. And in the effort of just creating a sense of black supremacy, there's inherited wealth. And my grandmother, she left some things behind, and I just went through them this weekend. And there's like an envelope, and I think it's deeds. I think we own land. It's like a little thing. Yeah, Ventnor Avenue and Park Place.
You know what?
So I'm gonna trade that in, and I'm gonna do a GoFundMe for the Reelblack phone. It's gonna be all black. It's gonna be made in Ghana by real black people, and it's gonna be cheap because we know we can do it cheap. But we need your money up front.
Troy is ringing the gong on
and
you.
And Dr. Umar Johnson, he'll have his own app built in.
You know what?
And if the screen is black, know the phone is working.
You are really about to get silenced up in here.
Well, look, we've been too serious. But anyway.
Yeah, but we want to remind everybody that we also have Phillies tickets to give away. So for all of you beautiful folks who have a white raffle ticket stub here around the broadcast table.
There's also a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Goodbye, Mike. The winning ticket number is 9020212. 212 must be present to win.
Somebody.
These are tickets to go check out the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park this Sunday versus the San Diego Padres. 212. Have they left? If they have left, they did not win. That means I'm going back into the box. That's da-da-da. All right. 207. Norman! As he raises his finger. See, there are benefits to being a beloved supporter of the station and also living in the neighborhood and hanging out with us. So we will make sure you get those tickets, sir. We hope you have a good time and that there's good weather for you on Sunday as well. Oh, there's 3. Oh, we got 3 pairs of tickets. Oh, shucks now. Well, I was going to say, so Norman, since you were here, you have first right of refusal. Is this something that the family would like to do? Should we give you 2 pairs of tickets so that you can accommodate more of the youngins? Oh, yes. So his social advisor is his wife, ladies and gentlemen. We know that. That's what that means. So, okay, so we'll pick at least one other number. We'll assume that you need a family 4-pack. So I've got one more ticket, 216. 216. Folks are sitting around like, all right. Well, see, those people that got up and left, they're going to be mad. It's just 210.
I should have taken a car.
You see?
I would have been at the Phillies game. But anyway.
Really? All the folks who hung out with us to the end of the broadcast, they're not the ones with the numbers.
You got to come to the next event because we're going to have tickets.
Aha.
Yes. For step.
213. That's me. And there we have it. Madame Rucker will walk away with the last set of tickets. It's been wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for tuning in today. I don't even have the schedule in front of me to tell you where we're going to be next Tuesday.
But wherever it is, we have
McPherson Square. That's right. 6 in Indiana, ladies and gentlemen. On Tuesday is our next Summer of Freedom broadcast.
Right, but a great movie Step, which is coming out, and you'll have a chance if you come to the library for the live broadcast. You have a chance to win some passes, and the director and the stars of the movie are going to be at the screening next Thursday at the Ritz 5.
Indeed. So we'll be giving away passes to go check out Step, and we will have some of the actors from the film
calling in.
They'll be calling in to next week's Reelblack Radio. Go to the Baldwin Conference at the Church of the Advocate this evening, Saturday and Sunday. Lots of activities going on. Shout out to this wonderful conglomeration of talent that Dr. Montero has compiled for us today. Thank you for executive producing today. And we will be back on the air with you, Lord willing, 10 a.m. on Monday with more Mojo. Take good care, everybody.